Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to bring you some news in regards to the Ukraine war with Russia. Okay, we've got news coming out that this town that you see here on your screen called Avdiivka is very close to falling. Okay, more than likely it's going to fall here. Ukrainian troops are starting to pull back. Volodymyr Zelensky has ordered the military to pull their troops, at least some of them, out of Avdiivka to try to save as many lives as possible. So this town is about to fall, and it's apparently a pretty major town for this war. And Ukraine has been fighting for this town for a very, very long time. It's very close to the border of these regions that were annexed by Putin during the invasion of 2022, whenever they first took over in Ukraine. So it's very close to the Donetsk region. And let me show you here on this map. So take a look at that. So if you can see there on your screen, it says Avdiivka there in the middle. So all of that red that you see is the Russians that have almost completely encircled Avdiivka. Okay, and all the orange sections that you see there too, that's currently areas that have been claimed by Russian control. Okay, so they just recently took those areas over. So Avdiivka is really close to falling. And if you see there on the top right corner of your screen, that's where it's located on the eastern portion of Ukraine, right next to Donetsk. Okay, so Donetsk is a region that was annexed as well by the Russians whenever they moved in. So it's very close. It's basically on the front line there, where these regions were annexed by Russia. So it's a very important town. And right now, what's going on here is that Ukraine is on the defensive here. Okay, they're starting to have to fall back. They are very, very low on ammunition and artillery shells. They don't have a lot of support at all, and I've been saying this for quite some time. Ukraine is really falling apart at the moment, okay? And Russia is taking advantage of that, and they're starting to push from all sides here, all along the front line. So Ukraine is having to pull back to defensive positions to fight the Russians and slow them down. But it's not looking good for Ukraine right now. They're very, very low on ammunition. So I have a video that I want to show you real quick. This is back from October in 2023. Okay, Putin was speaking here at this Valdai discussion club with a bunch of members here, and he was basically talking about the fact that if Ukraine were to run out of funding from the U.S. and from the West, that they could collapse in like 1 week. And isn't that interesting that what we see right now is there's so much funding being held up in US Congress for Ukraine? And look at what's going on. It's already starting to happen. What Putin was claiming that they would basically collapse in 1 week. So we're gonna take a look at this. It is in Russian, so I'm gonna be reading the subtitles for you. Okay. Every month, around $4 to $5 billion in loans and various grants are received by Ukraine through different channels. The moment all this stops, that's it. Everything will collapse in a week. The same applies to their defense system. Just imagine if supplies stop tomorrow, Ukraine will only have a week to live before their ammunition runs out. So there you go. Just a short little clip there, but that's what he said there at this conference. And aren't we seeing that right now? Isn't that exactly what we're seeing? We're seeing Ukraine consistently telling everybody, you're going to see it here, I think, in this article too, that they don't have ammunition. They don't have ammunition for their rifles. They don't have artillery ammunition. They are just very, very low on everything, and they don't even have the supplies they need to fight this war. And I believe they're outnumbered here 1-7, from what I've heard. Okay, it might be in this article, but I did see it somewhere that they're outnumbered 1-7. So they're low on troops. They're low on everything. And this is going to go really bad for Ukraine if something doesn't turn around here. So I have an article pulled up. We're going to get into detail here. Ukraine-Russia war. U.S. warns Avdiivka could fall. The U.S. has warned that Russia could seize Ukraine's key eastern town of Avdiivka, the scene of some of the fiercest fighting in recent months. Avdiivka is at risk of falling into Russian control, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, citing Ukraine's ammunition shortages. See? They're admitting they don't have ammunition. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed to do everything to save as many Ukrainian lives as possible. Russian troops have made gains in Avdiivka, threatening to encircle it. The town, which has been almost completely destroyed, is seen as a gateway to nearby Donetsk, the regional Ukrainian capital seized by Russian-backed fighters in 2014 and later illegitimately annexed by Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine on the 24th of February 2022. At Thursday's briefing in Washington, Mr. Kirby said Avdiivka could fall largely because the Ukrainian forces on the ground are running out of artillery ammunition. So see, they don't have ammunition for their guns. They don't have artillery. Russia's sending in wave after wave of conscript forces to attack Ukrainian positions, he said. And because Congress has yet to pass a supplemental bill, we have not been able to provide Ukraine with the artillery shells that they desperately need to disrupt these Russian assaults. Russian forces are now reaching Ukrainian trenches in Avdiivka, and they're beginning to overwhelm Ukrainian defenses. Look at that. You see how quickly Ukraine is collapsing? They're collapsing very quickly, and even though they've got this new commander, Alexander Syrsky, it is not changing anything. If anything, it's worse because if they don't have supplies, they just can't fight this war, and they don't have anything because of this right here. Earlier this week, the U.S. Senate approved a $95 billion foreign aid package, including $60 billion for Ukraine, after months of political wrangling, but it faces an uphill battle in the House of Representatives. As far as I know right now, there still is no aid package that has been delivered to Ukraine. It's still held up in the House. Okay? So Ukraine is critically dependent on weapon supplies from the U.S. and other Western allies to be able to continue fighting Russia, a much bigger military force with an abundance of artillery ammunition. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned on Thursday that the U.S. failure to approve continued military assistance to Ukraine was already having an impact on the battlefield. So exactly just like what I showed you there in that video, that's why I wanted you to see that. Putin was right, that without the backing of the United States, Ukraine would not be in this war at all. They would have been done and over with probably a long time ago. Probably in the first 6 months to a year, I think max. This war would have been done and over with. But the fact that the U.S. and the allies of Europe supported this war in Ukraine, that's what's helping this war hold up. Okay, because they've got the weaponry that they need, but right now they don't have the weaponry that they need. In his video address late on Thursday, President Zelensky said, "We are doing everything we can to ensure that our warriors have enough managerial and technological capabilities to save as many Ukrainian lives as possible." On Friday, Mr. Zelensky is visiting Berlin and Paris, where he is expected to sign security pacts with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and French President Emmanuel Macron. Similar agreement on security cooperation was signed between Ukraine and the UK in January. Late on Thursday, Ukrainian General Alexander Tarnovsky admitted that fierce battles were taking place within Avdiivka. "We value every piece of Ukrainian land, but the highest value of priority for us is the preservation of life of a Ukrainian soldier," he said. Ukraine's military spokesman, Dmytro Likovevy, acknowledged that Ukrainian troops in Avdiivka were being forced to sometimes move to more advantageous positions, in some places leaving positions. In its update on Friday, the military general staff said that planned strengthening of units was being carried out, as well as troop maneuver in directions that are under threat. Some Ukrainian soldiers have privately admitted the town could fall at any moment. "We're upset," Ukrainian officer Alexei from Ukraine's 110th Mechanized Brigade in the Avdiivka area told BBC earlier this week, standing beside a huge mobile artillery piece as Russian guns boomed in the distance. "Currently, we have 2 shells, but we have no explosive charges for them, so we can't fire them. As of now, we have run out of shells," said Alexei. He suggested that the shortages were widespread and having a dramatic impact on the fighting in Avdiivka, so they've got no artillery shells whatsoever, which is very important to slow down advances when the Russians are pushing. "We feel a very strong responsibility for our guys fighting right now in the town, armed only with assault rifles." Ukraine's newly appointed commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrsky, visited the front line of the Avdiivka area this week, acknowledging that the situation there was difficult. He said the Russian military did not count losses, using its troops as cannon fodder. Kiev says an elite Ukrainian brigade has now been sent to Avdiivka and reserve artillery has been deployed. In unverified reports, Russian military bloggers said on Thursday that a key Ukrainian defensive position in southern Avdiivka, known as Zenit, was now under Moscow's control. So, really not looking good here. This is the picture that I showed you there just a minute ago. There it is right there, just zoomed in for you. So, it looks like Avdiivka is probably going to fall here very, very soon, okay? They just don't have the supplies they need, and they're getting run over by the Russians, as I've said. So this is really not good for Ukraine. Ukraine is struggling heavily here in this war, and I think Mr. Putin was right when he said that Ukraine would collapse very quickly because it's already starting to happen. Okay, Ukraine is burning through their supplies. They don't have a lot of supplies anymore, and whenever their supplies run out, imagine if they completely run out of ammunition. What are they going to do? Yes, they don't have artillery, but they've got a little bit of ammunition left in their rifles. But what happens when they run out of rifle ammunition? They're not going to be able to defend anything. So Ukraine is going to fall here at some point, and I think the Russians are going to start to take a lot of land here. They're going to start to take massive amounts of land from Ukraine during this time that this money is being held up in Congress. Okay, this is going to get really bad. We've got Zelensky going all over the place right now. He's going over to France right now. He's in Paris talking to Emmanuel Macron, trying to get some security agreements. So this is really not good here because the further that Russia pushes in, the worse this is going to get. Okay, because the West is going to become more. They're going to become more worried that Ukraine is going to lose this war. And what did Biden say not too long ago, just in the last couple months? He said that if Ukraine loses this war or starts to lose the war, he's going to put U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine. So I'm telling you, both sides here, the West and Russia, are both in this 110%. Nobody is willing to let Ukraine fall, and nobody is willing to let Ukraine go. Okay, so this is a very big deal here. Both sides are going at this 110%, and somebody's got to win. There has to be a decisive winner here at some point. And I think what's really going to happen here, unless the U.S. gets involved directly with NATO troops, Ukraine's going to have to put up a peace deal. Okay, they're going to have to give in and commit to some sort of peace deal. They're going to have to. Okay, but right now the U.S. is doing everything they can to not allow Ukraine to give into a peace deal. They want Ukraine to fight this war till the very last Ukrainian, till there's nobody left. And then when there's nobody left, what's going to happen from there? I'll let you speculate on that. That's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you hanging out here with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and also consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy my content. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you as soon as a new video is live. And we do put out several videos a day. So thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.